Ever wondered about the magic formula for fluency in Spanish?
Oh yeah, I need some of that.
I'm sure we all have. Well, apparently the secret sauce is soaking up 1,000 hours of Spanish immersion. Sounds crazy, but after my years of on and off study, I'm 100% sure I've done this, and apparently according to Dream in Spanish, this is the ultimate way to go. So I'm here to share my journey with comprehensible input, where I stand now, do I think it works, what have I learned, and what can you learn? Welcome and welcome back to Nas Speaks, where I speak all things language learning. So if you're learning a language this year and you want more tips, tricks, and resources to help you along the way maximize your potential, then subscribe and hit that notification bell. So let's dive into what comprehensible input even means, just in case you're like new to language learning or you just never really understood what the term means. So according to Dreaming Spanish, comprehensible input is when we're receiving input for messages that we understand through listening or reading. And this doesn't mean that we understand every word or every grammar point in the input, but that we understand enough to be able to figure out the rest thanks to context. When you receive comprehensible input, the conditions are met for our brain to be able to use its natural ability to acquire language without having to do anything else. What's incredible is how this journey has quite literally fine-tuned my ear. I'm able to correct my own mistakes, and it's almost like I have my own personal Spanish grammar radar, because a lot of times I'm even talking to like my friends who are also learning Spanish, and I'll correct them in my head automatically or out loud, because I do help them as well if like they say something incorrect that I'm able to correct them on. And it's a really important skill to have, and it's a very great sign to show you're improving in the language as well, is if you're able to correct your own mistakes. This definitely comes with practice, and I cannot say I would have been anywhere near here without comprehensible input, which I didn't even realize I was doing at the time, because I'm only just now understanding that this is an actual term for like what I've been doing all along. Like I said, I've been learning Spanish on and off for years, and a big part of me learning has always been me ingesting content, like native Spanish content. So me literally like eating, breathing, sleeping Spanish dramas on Netflix or telenovelas like La Reina del Flow, una serie colombiana en Netflix. That's a Colombian series on Netflix. I like binged 86 episodes. These are like 86 1-hour episodes of me just listening to Spanish. And to like add an extra challenge to myself, I watch the Spanish with Spanish subtitles, which I'd only recommend if you're like an intermediate level in the language, because you don't want to not be able to understand anything, right? Like I defined earlier, comprehensible input is being able to at least use context clues to get a general idea of what something means. But by doing that and fine-tuning my ear to the language, it's almost like, I don't know, I can now like listen to the language, and even if I'm not always able to explain why this is wrong, why it sounds wrong, I just know it sounds wrong. And it's kind of similar to how we learn languages as a baby. Like we learn through listening, and then we repeat what we hear, and then over time, because we've learned what that thing is by listening all along, when we hear something contrary to what we've heard all along, we know it's wrong, because it's just not necessarily because we know the rule behind why it's wrong, but we just know that nobody says it like that, and it's not supposed to be said that way. So these are some of the like ways your ear will be fine-tuned the more you ingest Spanish. The secret sauce to my progress is literally speaking early and imitating native speakers. Now the language learning like roadmap that Dreaming Spanish proposes actually encourages you not to start speaking until you're like closer to the 1,000 hours, but I think speaking early is critical. And I mean, if that was the case, then why, like, it's like a baby. Remember, we're like babies in the language. Babies at the beginning, they don't really know how to form words. They don't really know what they're saying, but they're saying stuff until it eventually makes sense. So it starts off as goo goo gaga or whatever babies say, and then eventually they learn mama, dada, whatever it wants to be. So in the same way, I don't think you should reserve speaking like all of your speaking all the way until you're almost at 1,000 hours of Spanish immersion, because you may miss out on some of like the early mistakes you can make and learn. Like sometimes it's me speaking early and making those embarrassing mistakes that prevents me from ever making those mistakes again, because it was so embarrassing to begin with. Like a downfall of like waiting to speak too late is you develop this like perfectionism or perfectionist mindset, which I'm still battling with, because at times I still fear speaking with natives. So I don't, even though I know I have a wealth of knowledge and I can speak to them, I still get like anxiety or something, thinking I'm gonna make some like stupid error and sound dumb, and I don't want to sound stupid or like randomly forget all of my vocabulary, even though I know that won't happen. But it's just how your brain works when you're like anxious or like fearful in a moment. Like me pongo muy nerviosa cuando hablo con los nativos, no sé por qué. It's frustrating, guys. So start speaking early. Imitate the natives, because that is your best bet. What they say is like if you start speaking early without like the correct accent or pronunciation, then it'll be hard to break out of that when you're seasoned in saying stuff a particular way. Which is why not just speaking early, but imitating natives is critical. And that's where all of my listening to Spanish songs and listening to, and I love like the Colombian accent is my favorite personally. So listening to them, watching like an entire series, like an entire telenovela, I've grown to love their expression, love the way that they speak, the way that they sound. It's like music to my ears. If you're Colombian watching, I don't know, something about your accent is just really nice. And when you have a native that you're imitating, it's better for you in the long run. An active way to practice this is like watching native speakers on YouTube, where like you can like pause and like repeat what they said and try to say it the same way that they did, until one day it will just ooze out of you naturally and you're like, wait, I have an accent. And all of a sudden you have like this whole new personality in Spanish. And it's incredible just like watching how you grow and how you transform. And it will be automatic. Like when I speak Spanish, I automatically change my accent, because my fear is sounding like a gringa. I don't want to sound like a gringa. And my goal is to achieve native like sound, if that makes sense. I definitely still have some way to go, but I've come a long way where that's concerned. How to know you've really progressed in Spanish? You start dreaming in the language. Yeah, like dreaming at night. It's incredible. Like I remember when I had like one of my first dreams in Spanish. At the time I was in high school, and I told my Spanish teacher, and she's like, whoa, that's like an amazing sign that you're like super immersed in it, for you to like start thinking of it, like even in your subconscious sleeping, like you're thinking of the language, you're speaking the language. It's incredible. If you've ever dreamt in the language you're learning, it's an amazing sign that you're like really immersed. And I remember this happened to me like during my binging of the telenovela I mentioned earlier. Like halfway through the series or something, I started to just, it became a part of me. I was like oozing words. Like my brain was like, I'll be in class in my English school in my English country, and I'm randomly like thinking Spanish, like Colombian colloquial phrases.
What?
Like it really became a part of my subconscious. A goal of yours should be to be able to dream in the language, and once you've done that, trust me honey, you are on your way. But now it's time to level up. I'm restarting my language journey with a more intentional focus on comprehensible inputs. Dreaming Spanish and other targeted resources will be my guides. It's not just about the hours, it's about making each moment count, understanding every word, and actively participating in the language. So while I said that with my on and off years of studying Spanish, I've definitely achieved 1,000 hours of Spanish immersion, it was never necessarily like purposed, intentional, comprehensible input where I'm like focusing on it. This year, I want to actively restart my journey of sorts with comprehensible inputs and actually try to track my owls and see just how much more I can progress. And I'll definitely be sharing that journey with you guys. Join me on this journey if you really want to get serious with Spanish this year and get on that road to fluency, like get further on your journey. Then this is a great place to start, because I definitely can say it comes with results. Share your own progress in the comments below and also your language learning tips, and let's grow together. Don't forget to subscribe. Vamos a aprender juntos y estoy muy emocionada para empezar contigo. Bye.